Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge,
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
and let's talk horror.
So we're at day one at Astronomicon here Friday afternoon.
Very, very excited to see what they have to offer here. We've been walking around, everything's getting set up. They have a lot of amazing guests. Let's get right into our first guest. Let's have a great time.
All right, let's do it.
Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. We are here with the beautiful Christine Elise. Christine, how you doing?
I am very well, thank you.
So for all of you that know, Child's Play is my favorite horror franchise. So to be here with one of the staples, especially of Child's Play 2 and the new Chucky TV series, what's it like for all this time to still have such an impact on the community?
The Chucky, it's surreal. So like I always compare it to, like, if you're Madonna's kids, you're not impressed by Madonna. Not that I'm not impressed by Chucky, but it's been in my life since 1989. This is the 35th anniversary of Child's Play 2, and I have a difficult time really feeling it in my chest. What a big thing I've been a part of for so long, and every once in a while it does penetrate, and it's like I have like a panic attack almost. But it's such a huge thing. Chucky's as famous as Dracula, and was born on the same. He's a universal monster, just like Frankenstein and Dracula. And I came to LA to be an actor because I loved old Hollywood movies. So to be part of the Universal family is something that's really surreal for me too. It's just nuts. Who could ever think that 36 years later that Chucky would be still going strong?
And it's amazing too, because I think Chucky right now, for the generation that was us and then the next generation, is the most recognizable horror icon. People will say Jason or Michael Myers, but there's people that aren't in the horror world that still confuse those two.
Yes.
Nobody confuses Chucky with anybody. Everybody sees that doll, they know Chucky. They know who that is. And you are a major part of that universe. But I got to ask you, Christine, here at Sledgehammer Horror, our big thing is my first horror movie. We want to know where horror started for you. So do you by any chance remember what the first horror movie you ever watched was?
It's hard. First of all, I'm 60, so I was born in 1965. So when I was in high school, I graduated high school in '83. So these movies are just starting to be made. The ones that are the top five. Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and the Halloweens, etc. But I really, this is going to sound weird. It's my favorite horror movie of all time, and I think it may well be my first that I ever saw, which is The Exorcist. Um, I think it stands up so well. I watched a great documentary about what's the guy who directed it? What's his name?
William Friedkin.
Yes, that's a great documentary with William Friedkin it's a must watch. It's great. It's just an incredible movie, and they couldn't make it again. You could not make that movie now.
No, and especially when you're a young lady watching that movie for the first time, you identify with Reagan. You see what she's going through. And now as a parent, I've said that The Exorcist is one of those movies you watch at different eras. You have different feelings. As a parent, you watch it, you relate to the parents.
Right.
And so to know that such an influential horror movie started you on your journey, it's amazing. So you've done conventions all over the world. Is this your first time doing Astronomicon?
It's my first Astronomicon, yeah. I've been to Detroit before. My stepdad's from Detroit. But I did Motor City Legacy his first year a couple of years ago.
Well, it's amazing to have you back here in Detroit, and I hope that you have an amazing time this weekend. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
What is up, guys? We are now here with the amazing Doug Bradley. I have caught my white whale. So,
where's the amazing Doug Bradley? I'm just the normal, boring Doug Bradley.
I'm glad you think so, sir. You've been an icon in our lives for a long time, and I'm one of the very few huge defenders of Hellraiser Bloodlines. I think that movie is an amazing step in going past, present, and future of the franchise. So what's it feel like for you all these years later to still be considered by the lowly like us such an icon in the world?
Well, I don't consider anybody to be lowly in any respect by comparison with me. I don't, I accept the status that I have within the horror movie world and within the film world. What we did together collectively with Clive has made an indelible mark in cinema history and in horror film history. I accept that, and by virtue of the fact that I'm still breathing, I have acquired iconic status. It's very humbling. It's very gratifying. I'd be lying to say otherwise. But it's not something I wake up in the morning thinking about. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Day-to-day life, I'm me.
Right. And I'll tell you right now, I'm still shaking sitting next to you, sir. So that's not lip service. But here at Sledgehammer Horror, the big thing we do is my first horror movie, where we like to ask people about the first horror movie they watched and how it affected them. Do you remember what the first horror movie you ever watched was?
Wow. Are we allowed a ghost film?
Of course.
Right. Then I can't be absolutely certain about this, but I'm pretty certain this would be it. And I would have. It's a movie that was made in 1962, and I would have seen it on the BBC
Okay.
a few years later in Liverpool, where I was living.
Sure.
And I've seen it subsequently, and I'm not disappointed. I think it's a great movie, and I would recommend it to anybody. It's based on Henry James's novella, The Turn of the Screw,
Absolutely.
directed by Jack Clayton, starring Deborah Carr, and with a great cameo by, and I think it's Deborah. I'm not a great fan of Deborah Carr. I think she's superb in it. It's one of her best performances, and a great cameo by Michael Redgrave,
Sure.
Vanessa's father, obviously, and it's The Innocents.
Yes.
And it's very powerful, and it scared the living daylights out of me. So I have this very clear memory when it was done, and the moment that completely really freaked me out was when, it's not really spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the film, but when she sees the governess in the schoolroom,
Sure.
sitting at one of the desks. When she leaves, the children have got like the old-fashioned slates to write on. She's left a real tear on one of the slates, and I thought I knew enough about ghosts to know that this was breaking the rules. Mm-hmm. Ghosts don't do this. So I needed to go and pee, and I have very clear memory of that moment of being halfway up the stairs and worried about the defensive space behind me,
Sure.
but not wanting to turn around and look at what might be coming up the stairs behind me, and worried
amazing.
about what might be lurking on the landing
Right.
that I couldn't see around the corners, and then just deciding to make a break for it and running as fast as I could up the stairs and slamming the toilet door and locking it shut.
It's amazing because we're in 2025 now, and you're still getting The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is an adaptation of
Yes.
The Turn of the Screw.
Yes.
The Turning, which was an adaptation, The
Yes.
Innocents. It's
Yes.
still just as impactful today as it was then.
I agree.
So,
But The Innocents is the best of them.
yes,
And I recommend it to anybody.
if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. So, Mr. Bradley, thank
it
you so
has-
much.
One of the things that marks it out is the ambivalence of its ending.
There's never a clear ending to any
And
of these.
You don't, at the end of The Innocents, you don't know what's going on. Whether this could all be a sexualized fantasy by the governess, it may all be real, and they may have committed what you would think would be a cardinal sin by killing a child
Right.
at the end of the film. Is it a genuine haunting? Is it all in everybody's heads? You don't know, and I love that about it.
I think that's, again, there's nothing scarier than what I can imagine.
I wasn't hip to that as a kid, but
Right.
seeing it again subsequently, I am.
Right. And I'm with you. Like I said, when I put it in my imagination, there's nothing scarier. So I do want to thank you for spending some time with me. Like I said, this is a dream come true. I hope Astronomicon treats you greatly. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, sir.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, we are here with the amazing Damian Leone. Damian, how you doing today, man?
Good, man. Good to see you.
So I got to know, you've created a horror icon. You've created something that's gone as far as being in Call of Duty games now. What's it like for you when you see the expansion and the growth of the Terrifier universe?
It's very surreal. It's been that way since the beginning, honestly. Like I keep telling people who ask that question, it never sinks in, which I think is a wonderful thing. I don't ever want it to.
Sure.
Yeah, it just blows us away every time. And every time we sort of think it's plateauing, kind of just keeps growing. I mean, I feel like it's not even mine anymore. It's like out of my hands, you know.
I can honestly say to all the viewers that know us, you proved me wrong on a statement that I made. I made a statement at one point that we'll never have a horror movie do again what The Exorcist did, having people leaving the theaters puking and breaking all these records, and you come along and made me look like an asshole. So I do want to thank you for that, because of that, you've given us such an amazing creation. And here at Sledgehammer Horror, our big thing is my first horror movie. We like to talk to people about the first horror movie they watched and what it meant to them. Do you remember what the first horror movie you watched was?
There's two that really, I mean, there's so many, but I would say, you know, Jaws was the movie in my household that was just always there since as far back as I can remember. That movie was there. So that movie had a huge impact on me. But the first horror movie I ever saw in the movie theaters when I was 4 years old, my mother took me to see The Lost Boys.
Oh, let's go.
And I remember it like it was yesterday. That had a really big impact on me. And just the fact that I got to work with Jason Patrick all those years later on Terrifier 3 was another one of those very surreal things that will just never really sink in. So it's been a really cool journey, man. I'm excited to see where this goes from here.
Well, now that I meet you in person and I see how jacked you are, you could play the saxophone, dude, if we ever get a remake, man. I'm pulling for that.
That's the oil. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, Damian, again, I know you're very busy, sir. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and I hope the convention's amazing for you.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
What is up, guys? I am now here with Dave from the Crip Keepers. Dave, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So you guys can see from his selection, he's been in the horror game for a very long time. So can you tell people a little bit about the store and where they can find you online?
Yeah. So CripKeepersHalloween.com. We're located in Sterling Heights, Michigan. We're 7,000 square feet of horror. So, you know, we constantly do stuff. We have our own studio. So these are all rehauls from our studio. We have like an original up there, the zombie, the lighting's all kind of. But we do about 20 different originals out of our studio. We teach classes. Like next week, we're doing Harry Potter Death Eater masks.
Oh, that's nice.
So you come in with Rob Miller from Face Off, and he brings in all the resin masks. You get to paint, strap them with him, and take pictures.
That's amazing, man. And we do have the link for them down in the description, guys, so make sure you're following them. But one thing I got to ask you personally, one thing we do here at Sledgehammer Horror is we like to talk to people about the first horror movie they watched and how that affected them. Do you remember what the first horror movie you ever watched was?
The Exorcist.
I love that answer. So do you ever try to incorporate a lot of The Exorcist into what you do?
Yeah, we do a little bit. I mean, my favorite from when I was a kid was Lost Boys and Near Dark, so we're really big on stuff like, so even from like the earrings here, there's always going to be something Lost Boys. In our store, in our booth, we do like just tons of stuff. We're doing the 3D model busts right now of like David and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, the Thing is another thing. We do a ton of stuff. We have a full-size Sting spider with the Norris head on it.
No way.
Yeah, that we do in the store. So, yeah, there's always something new going on. And, you know, we're always down. If I can't make it, I can find it for you.
Sure. So, guys, remember, that's Crip Keepers Halloween Emporium. And you said that's in
Sterling
Heights, Michigan. I do have their social media links down in the description. So if you can't make it here in person, check them out online. We run into these guys at every convention we go to. They are some of the hardest working people in the game, and I'm so honored I finally got the chance to have this conversation. So thank you for allowing me this time, and I hope you have a good rest of your con.
Same to you guys.
What is up, guys? We are here with the amazing Bert McCracken from the U, someone that's been a huge influence on my life for a very long time. Bert, how you doing?
I'm really good, thanks.
This is an amazing honor to have you here. A lot of you that don't know, I have Chatham tattooed right here. That is from the Lies for the Liars album cover. This album completely revitalized the way I looked at music at that time. So, you know, all these years later, you guys are still putting out amazing records, writing amazing songs. I can't tell you how often we had Fuck You on repeat, you know, and, you know, you're out there telling me one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard off a newest record. What keeps you going and keeps you motivated to keep creating music for us?
It's like therapy, man. It's very cathartic to be able to put your journal out into the world and know that people like you have had a like a little bit of what is something that's way bigger than I could even explain, you know. But yeah, I think that's what music is all about, is love and being able to connect with something.
And you guys have done that for a long time, and you've done it perfectly. You guys are still making the same music that we grew up listening to. I still get the same feelings now when I'm listening to your new records as I got the very first time I heard "Taken Away."
Oh, that's
You
awesome,
know,
man.
when I hear the
Appreciate it.
boom, I'm ready to go. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
so the big thing we do here at Sledgehammer Horror is my first horror movie, where we talk to people about the first horror movie they watched and what it meant to them. Do you remember what your first horror movie was?
I do. It was Pet Cemetery, and it scared the shit out of me.
That was my wife Ashley's first horror movie.
Oh my goodness!
Zelda is what nightmares are made of.
Still in my nightmares.
Yeah,
That's a perfect film.
it is.
Yeah,
It is.
perfect book.
So if you guys haven't, please make sure you are checking out the Used. They're on tour right now. They are so amazing. Like I said, have been a huge influence on me musically and personally for a long time. So Bert, thank you so much for your
You're
time.
welcome, man.
Enjoy the rest of your time here.
Appreciate you.
What is up, guys? We are now here with the amazing Bill Morrison. Bill has done some of the most iconic art, whether it be Futurama, The Simpsons, or you guys can look right here, House. You know what that means to me. That iconic cover art was done by this man right here. So you've been in the game for a very long time. I got to ask, what is your favorite thing to do when you're doing your illustrations, when you're doing your art? Do you like more cartoonish stuff or stuff like House that's more like a horror aspect?
Well, when I was coming up, I wanted to be a comic artist. I ended up becoming an illustrator, which is why I went out to Hollywood and did posters like House and Blood Diner and did a lot of 80s, mostly like low budget films, advertising. So I really loved doing that. But then The Simpsons came along. Well, first Disney, and I got into doing more of a cartoon style. And then The Simpsons came along, and that's kind of the course that my career took. So I love doing that, but the fact that I've got this history of doing like more photorealistic illustration is great, because if I get bored, like it's like, oh God, another cartoon job. I need to do something that's more meaty. I can go back to that, and I love doing that. I sometimes do that just for myself. I do fine art paintings of like rock stars and film stars and things like that. And I love the resurgence of interest in House. That's really fun. Like people who were kids when the movie came out and now they're adults and they remember how iconic that was. Like seeing the video. Most of them didn't see the movie in the theaters, but they saw the video. And they saw, if their parents didn't let them rent it, they at least saw it on the shelf and were like, oh my God, what is that?
Yeah. Well, for us, when we were young, YouTube was walking up and down the horror aisle looking at the cover arts.
Yeah.
That was what we did to try to see what jumped out at you. House is the one that jumped out at me first at a young age, and I've talked about it on the podcast before. Without House, I'm not the man I am today. Without that cover art, I don't watch House for the first time. So you really have Sledgehammer Horror in its entirety is really thanks to you and the people that were in the creation of House, because that movie means more to me than most people do. I still watch it. I'd like to say the resurgence is because of us and how much we talk about House. I'd like to believe that. So at the podcast, what we like to do, Bill, is talk to people about the first horror movie they watched.
Okay.
Do you remember what your first horror movie was?
Yes. I guess you could call it a horror movie. It's a comedy, and it was Munster Go Home.
Okay.
So I was, I think it was the second movie I saw in a theater. First one was Mary Poppins, and then I got to see Munster Go Home at a drive-in movie theater.
Yes.
And it was either that or Help, because I remember seeing Help, but I fell asleep like 10 minutes into it. My parents had a station wagon, and I was in the back in my jammies, right?
Yep. Put the seats down.
Yeah. But I remember watching Munster Go Home. I was riveted, so I saw that all the way through. I recently got the original poster for it.
See, I've always said that our first horror movie sticks with us.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, I gravitate towards horror comedy, and I think that's because House, to me, House is a almost perfect movie. It's got horror, comedy. There's the family drama, you know, losing a kid. There's the love story. There's the funny neighbor. You know, there's a little bit of everything. The first jump scare I ever saw was, you know, Aunt Elizabeth at the very beginning of the movie. You know, when you see her in the room. So
and there's really legitimate moments like that where it's horror. I mean, it's a comedy,
right.
But like you say, it's a lot of things, but it's definitely horror.
I'll tell you this, to little Kenny, there was no comedy to that movie whatsoever. To me, that was when I was a little boy, that was the scariest thing, even the fish on the wall. You know. Well, Bill, I hope you have an amazing rest of your time here at Astronomicon. Thank you for taking your time, and again, sir, thank you, because without you, I'm not the man I am today. And I know that sounds cliche, but without that cover art, Ken Sledges, the man he is right now, doesn't exist. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
What is up, guys? We are here with Lee from the amazing The Funeral Portrait. Lee, how you doing today?
Living the dream. Thanks for having me.
No, it's so amazing. So how, you know, we're in day 2 of the event now. How was day 1 here in Detroit for you?
Oh, it was insane. So we weren't set up yesterday. We were just chilling, you know, but it was a little bit of coolness because I got to meet Bert from The Used, which, you know, he's on one of our songs. So that was my first time meeting him. But, you know, growing up, I mean, I saw him. I've probably seen The Used probably like 20 times. So that was a big moment for me. So,
well, if you guys haven't checked them out, please do. The song he's referencing is "You're So Ugly When You Cry." If you've ever followed Sledgehammer Horror on Instagram or Twitter, you've probably heard that song a couple times on there alone. So the big thing we do here on the podcast is we talk to people about the first horror movie they watched and what it meant to them. So do you remember what your first horror movie was?
You know, to be honest, I stayed away from horror movies because I'm a scaredy cat, okay? But I'll tell you my first experience, because I don't remember my first movie. I remember my first experience of finding that I actually like horror, and it's a very newer kind of thing. So I watched Terrifier, right? The first one, right? And it was because all of my guys in my band, they love horror. They love it. And I was like, I'm a scaredy cat. I get scared so easy. And so for me, I was just like, I can't do this. I can't do this. They were like, no, just watch this. You'll like it. So I watched it and I fell in love. And I dove in deeper. And then I went to Halloween Horror Nights for the first time. And that was in 2021. And I fell in love. Awesome. And I've been obsessed with Halloween Horror Nights. And I every single thing, all the speculation maps, I deep dive. I mean, I'm in now because it's all about the theatrics, right? And so for me, that's what I love.
I was just going to say, with the band, you guys are a very theatrical band.
Yes, and so for me, it's all about the theatrics, right? And so I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, it just goes hand in hand with horror and theatrics and, you know, the stage and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, again, growing up, my mom loves horror movies and much, you know, she's obsessed with Stephen King and all that stuff. But I think she kept it away from me because she knew I was a big scaredy cat. So for me, growing up, I was not into anything scary. I like spooky, right? But like it was never scary, right? And then all of a sudden now I love to be scared. So it's like a whole moment now.
I feel like we're a mafia thing. Welcome to the family.
Yes, that's exactly what it feels.
A mother's love, man. She tried to protect you. So like I said, if you guys haven't, make sure you're checking out The Funeral Portrait. I promise you are not going to regret it. They're a band that we absolutely adore. We absolutely love. So we got the chance to meet him. We absolutely had to do this. So Lee, thank you for your time. I hope you have a great rest of the con.
Thank you, guys.
What is up, guys? So another huge part of doing these conventions are the amazing cosplayers. I'm here with the beautiful Denise and Maddie. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great.
Great.
So you guys are a staple at Astronomicon. We've seen you guys here a couple times, and every time you guys absolutely knock it out of the park. So let's start with you first, Maddie. What are some of your inspirations when you're doing cosplay?
I mean, honestly, if I find like a character that I really like or like that I can relate to, or if they're honestly a redhead, I always lean towards that. And it's just always something like that if I'm able to like find a good costume that like I really resonate with and I can like really like show off like my makeup skills, that's where I'm like, that's what I need to do. That's what I gotta do. Like I was almost debating on doing Adam Eve from Invincible.
Yeah.
I was like hoping to do
want
like
to do a gender bend Invincible. We're gonna have to figure that one out.
I know.
Please.
I wanted to do like a super gory version, like in
Well,
the
make it your
show.
own.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be so cool, like showing off my special effects and everything.
Yeah.
It just wasn't in the cards like this year, but I might try for Motor City. It's
I'll
always
say, yeah, there's always more. So,
Exactly.
what is your favorite, Denise? Your favorite cosplay that you've ever done?
So I normally do Harley Quinn. My favorite one is I did like a Wasteland, like Mad Max mashup of her. So it's like I have the Immortan Joe like mask, but I painted it like Harley, like and it has like more of like a Joker face paint thing on it with like a helmet and I just throw different things into it every time I wear it. So I make it my own because it's not technically like a screen accurate thing, but I made it my own thing. And she's like one of the characters that I resonate the most with because she's a very, very misunderstood character. She's looked at as ditzy and sexualized and, like a lot of other things, but she's actually like an actual degree owned, like intelligent woman. And she just is in her own head too much and overthinks a lot of things and tends to let little things get in the way when she knows that there's a bigger picture out there, and then she just has to kind of pull herself out from it and then be a stronger woman. And Ivy tends to help her with that as well.
Right.
So
They're very passionate.
Yes. So I feel like that's a lot connected to who I am as a person as well. And I need my friends and the people who love and care about me help me pull me out of my own head and go and realize what the bigger picture is.
Sure. Well, the big thing we do at Sledgehammer Horror is we talk to people about the first horror movie they watched and what it meant to them. So, Maddie, do you remember what the first horror movie you ever watched was?
Oh my God. I think it was either Nightmare on Elm Street or The Bride of Chucky.
That's her favorite Child's Play movie.
Oh my goodness. I love that one. I actually do a Tiffany Valentine cosplay, but I never bring it out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But no, I started watching horror movies when I was really young, maybe 7, maybe. And now I'm so immersed in it. It's it's an issue.
Yeah, it's never an issue. Yeah, I believe. And
some
also,
of the stuff I see is
I gotta see a redhead Tiffany Valentine at some point. I would love to see that. So, what about you, Denise? What was your first horror movie?
So it's either, I can't remember if it was either It, the original It, or Pet Sematary 2. It was one of the two. I can't remember which one. Both of them gave me severe nightmares, but the only reason why I really like Pet Sematary 2 is because I had this ridiculous childhood crush on Ed Furlong, who didn't, but yeah, I think it was probably one of those two.
Yeah. When we were young, he was the guy that the guys wanted to be because he got to be with the Terminator, man, and then all the girls loved him because he was a crush,
Yes,
So,
100%.
Remember, guys, when you're out doing these conventions, the cosplayers, all the people behind the scenes, they work so hard to keep up and do all these things for you. So make sure you're stopping by, giving them some gratitude. Make sure you're telling them thank you because they put this into the works all year long. They're working their asses off to do this. So, ladies, thank you for your time, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the con.
Thank you. Sorry if I get your hair.
Thank you. Guys, we are now here with another one of the amazing vendors at Astronomicon. We're here with Amanda of Devil's Night brand. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So you guys can see here, we got skateboards, we have some saws down here, we got the prints. Everything is handmade by these guys. So what got you into doing this?
I've just been an artist my whole life, so I love doing it. And by trade, I am a tattoo artist, so I've stayed in the field and everything. So this is just a really lot of a new way to do, or not a new way, but another way to just make cool art and have fun with it.
What I like too is the unique ones, like the Beavis and Butthead together, the Undertaker and Paul Bearer. We got Jason and Michael down there playing video games together. So we're going to find out who could win, maybe at Mortal Kombat, since the guys can't face off together. So how long have you guys been doing this?
So this particular kind of thing that I've done this convention for maybe 5 or 6 years now, and that the first time I started that convention, I do some artwork for Twisted and the bands and things like that. So that's when I started really kind of developing this, and it just kind of turned into this. It wasn't initially a plan. We just rolled with it, and this is what it became. So
I'm glad it is, because you guys do an amazing job. One last question for you. Here at Sledgehammer Horror, the big question we always ask is your first horror movie. So do you remember what the first horror movie you watched was?
Absolutely. It was Jason, and he will always be my favorite.
We have a winner here,
yes,
ladies and gentlemen. So Amanda, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great rest of the con.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, I am here with the beautiful Sam Scapiti. I said that right, didn't I?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. This is day 2 of the convention. How was day 1 here in Detroit for you?
It's been amazing. I love the city. I got to explore a little bit before we started, and the people at Astronomicon have been really, really kind. So it's been wonderful.
It's funny. It doesn't look anything like in RoboCop. I don't know. People still think that Detroit is RoboCop, you know. So it's a beautiful city, and we're glad to have you here. And the big thing we do, Sam, on our podcast is we like to talk to people about the first horror movie they watched and what it meant to them. Do you remember what the first horror movie you ever watched was?
I always tell people that I didn't get into horror until later in life, but I did watch horror when I was growing up. And the one horror film, now I love horror, just want to make that very clear. The first horror film I remember that scared the crap out of me was It. But I think it's because I was in my bedroom and I was lucky that I had a little TV with like a few channels. And for some reason I was like flipping through it and I landed on It and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I'll watch it. Probably it was with the kids at school or something. I don't know, somewhere not with the clown. And then all of a sudden, Tim Curry's Pennywise came on, and I was so terrified, but I couldn't turn it off, and I think that ruined me for a good portion of my life. So that's the one that I distinctly remember the most.
I always say the universe is funny, and it has a way of, especially in horror, connecting us. So how funny is it to me that the first horror movie you really landed on was It from 1990, and now you are in probably one of the most iconic clown movies of all time in the Terrifier franchise. So the universe is still quote unquote clowning with you in that aspect. So what's it feel like for you? Is it still that surreal feeling to be part of such an amazing universe? Started as an indie darling that is now a playable character in Call of Duty. Like, what does that feel like for you guys?
Yeah, we even have like a retro arcade game in Spain, which is wild, which is really cool because I love Spain. It's humbling. I'm extremely grateful. I think everyone who makes the films, they really love the work. They love the art. They believe in Damian, and to see people who, even after all the success, especially Damian, remain humble and have integrity and have success is, I think, really beautiful. And also, like the fans, they get to appreciate. They've been the people who have brought us this far and have been so loyal and have definitely been cheering for us. So I keep pinching myself. It's very strange. I feel like, in a weird way, it's making me more appreciative of life. So yeah.
Well, I do want to thank you one more time for being such a part of this. And like I said, you guys are part of the biggest thing in horror right now, and you're still kind enough to come to these conventions. And I'll never look at wrought iron again. Oh, yeah. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Of
Sam,
course.
thank you for your time.
You. Yeah, I appreciate
Have a
that.
great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Hey guys, so we are done with Astronomicon. We had a really great time as usual. They put on a great con, and we love to go. So
Make sure you guys, when you're visiting your local conventions, make sure you're thanking your event staff, thanking the people that put this on, because they put so much hard work into this. And Astronomicon is such an amazing event. We want to thank the guys from Twisted. They do an amazing job every year. And like I said, all the volunteers that come in, do the event stuff, it's simply amazing. So thank you guys so much for watching. And if you could check out your local convention, please do, because a lot of hard work goes into this. But until next time, guys, keep talking horror.
Stay who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.